Hello everyone and welcome to another fresh episode of Soccer Stories. The FIFA Congress during the 1952 Helsinki Olympic Games decided that it was a rightful claim of Latin American countries to host the World Cup after two successive editions of 1954 and 1958 were allotted to Europe. Argentina, which had lost its candidacy twice earlier, wanted it to be the sole host, even as FIFA wanted it to opt for Mexico as a co-host. Argentina, boasting better infrastructure than any other country among the Latin American nations, still insisted for sole hosting rights, while Chile campaigned pitching for a sporting legacy, unlike the Argentinians who had boycotted two back-to-back World Cups, bickering at the manner in which FIFA treated Latin America's hosting rights. Consequently, Chile, which sought the World Cup, citing "Give it to us as we have nothing," was handed over the hosting rights after a 31-12 verdict over Argentina, with 13 absentees in the voting during the 1956 FIFA Congress held at Lisbon in Portugal. Then came the unthinkable in 1960. Just 2 years before the 7th edition was set, a devastating earthquake measuring 9.5 on the Richter scale hit so violently for 10 minutes across a 1,000-kilometer stretch of Chile, and particularly the Valdivia area, killing scores and displacing nearly 2 million people across the country. The aftershock and the tsunami which followed reached as far as the shores of Japan and cost Chile at least 5 billion in damages alone. The Valdivia quake is still the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in the world. However, Chile scrambled meteorically and the World Cup opened with the matches at the four venues of Santiago, Viña del Mar, Rancagua and Arica on time on May 31st. The Estadio Nacional in national capital Santiago, situated against the beautiful backcloth of the snow-capped Andes, hosted 10 matches, while Sausalito hosted 8 and El Teniento and Ditburn hosted 7 matches each. In group play, Chile effectively opened the exit door for two-time champion Italy in Group 2, but not before being involved in a nasty game that saw a couple of expulsions and military help being sought out at least thrice before winning 2-0 and sealing its place in the quarterfinals despite the Battle of Santiago. West Germany was winner of this pool and wins over Switzerland and Chile and a goalless draw against Italy. Group 1 belonged to Soviet Union and Yugoslavia, the latter finding a place in the quarters with its upset win over two-time champions Uruguay. Brazil, yet again the favourites, was fascinating as it took its appointed place from Group 3 along with Czechoslovakia, while it was England and Hungary which emerged from Group 4 at the expense of notably Argentina. Brazil, which had lost the services of Pelé after he got injured in the group phase, however, never looked back as it stormed into the semi-finals, pushing England to the wayside. The authoritarian 3-1 win was made possible by Garrincha, who stamped his class with a brilliant display. The first of these goals came off a Garrincha header before he set up for Vava's second goal. The third undoubtedly was a peach as Garrincha came up with his trademark swerving shot from the outside the box to seal the fate of England. The other quarter-final matches too had its moment as Chile sneaked past the Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia made the most of the errors of Hungary, and effective goalkeeping by William Schorf made advance. The much anticipated tussle between Yugoslavia and West Germany too turned out to be a memorable one as the Yugoslavs finally had the measure of the Germans, extracting revenge for its losses in both 1954 and 1958 at the hands of the same rival. Into the semis, Brazil was simply outstanding against Chile in the first, and even though the reigning champions suffered a bit due to the red card drawn by Garrincha, still emerged handsome winners at 4-2. The second semi-final between the Czechs and the Yugoslavs saw the two Slavic states battle it out for supremacy. The keenness of the Czechs to handle the ball better, leading them to a 3-1 victory over their rivals. There was a public outcry when it became known that Garrincha would miss the final, consequent to his sending off in the semi-final against Chile. Amazingly, so besotted had the Chilean fans become with the Brazilian winger that they, along with the Chilean president Jorge Alessandri, successfully led a petition to FIFA to allow Garrincha play in the final. FIFA indeed did relent under public pressure and Garrincha was allowed to play the final, much to the relief of the Brazilian camp. In the final against Czechoslovakia at Santiago Estadio Nacional before 80,000 fans on June 17, Brazil was in a familiar spot of bother. After 15 minutes, a goal behind. And Adolf Scherer's long ball was snatched by Josef Masopust, who netted first for Czechoslovakia. 2 minutes later, Brazil hit back to Amarildo after an error by Czech goalkeeper Schorf. The Brazilians then scored through Zito and Vava to post a 3-1 win and the successive World Cup. Chile had the consolation to finish third after Eladio Rojas struck the lone goal in the losers' final match against Yugoslavia. That's all for today. We'll meet again in the next episode of Soccer Stories. Until then, hasta la vista.